I still remember the way her voice echoed through the cemetery that morning. Get that child out of here immediately. You have no right to be near my son's grave. Those words hit me like ice. I was kneeling by the tombstone, holding my 2-year-old daughter in my arms, placing simple daisies on the grave of the man I loved. Michael Whitmore, the man who never knew he had a daughter. I looked up slowly at the woman shouting at me, her sharp features, her expensive coat, her eyes filled with cold fury. Victoria Whitmore, Michael's mother. I whispered, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to disturb you, but when she saw Emma's eyes, those same bright green eyes that once belonged to her son, her voice faltered. Who are you? She demanded. How did you know my son? I hugged my little girl closer. Michael was important to me. Her tone snapped like a whip. That's impossible. My son died 2 years ago. I knew all his friends, all his relationships. I met her gaze, calm but trembling inside. You never saw me at the funeral because you made sure I wasn't welcome. She blinked, stunned, and then I saw recognition in her eyes. She remembered. Years ago, Michael had tried to bring me, a nursing student from a poor neighborhood, to dinner with his family, but she had me investigated and banned from the Whitmore estate. You're that girl, she whispered. Yes, I said quietly, the one who loved your son and whom he loved back, until you destroyed it. Emma tugged on my sleeve and pointed to the picture on the tombstone. Mommy, she asked, who's the handsome man? Victoria froze. I could almost hear the gears turning in her mind. How old is your daughter? She asked softly. 2 years and 3 months, I replied. Her face went pale. Michael had died 2.5 years ago. She whispered, did he know? I tried to tell him, I said, my voice shaking. 3 times. I went to his company. Every time your security guards threw me out. The last time they threatened to call the police. Victoria stood there speechless. For the first time she looked human. I picked up Emma and turned to leave. I just wanted her to know her father, even if only like this. As I walked away, I heard her call out, wait, but I didn't turn around. Because that moment, the one she thought was chance, was one I had spent 2 years preparing for. 3 days later, Victoria couldn't get my daughter's face out of her head. She sent someone to investigate me. I knew she would. When she learned who I was, that I had graduated nursing school, that I worked double shifts just to keep food on the table, her pride cracked. She showed up at the hospital where I worked. Kesha, she said as I stepped outside after a 12-hour shift. I stopped, tired but alert. Mrs. Whitmore, what are you doing here? We need to talk, she said, about Emma, about Michael. There's nothing to talk about, I said. You made it clear 2 years ago that I wasn't welcome. Her voice softened. Did you try to tell him about the pregnancy? Try? I laughed bitterly. I begged. Your guards treated me like trash. You built walls so high around your son that even love couldn't climb over them. She flinched. If you really loved him, you should have fought harder. I looked her straight in the eyes. Fought harder? I cleaned offices at night, pregnant and exhausted, just to survive. I collapsed in my 8th month from overwork. Emma was born premature, and Michael died without ever knowing he was a father. Because of you. She looked away. I could see guilt battling pride in her face. I could help, she said quietly, financially. Emma is my granddaughter after all. I almost laughed again. You think money solves everything. That's what Michael told me about you, that you fix problems with cash instead of compassion. Her lip trembled. I loved my son. No, I said. You loved the version of him you wanted to control. She didn't reply. I could tell she was seeing herself for the first time through my eyes. Where's Emma now? She asked. At home, sleeping, I said, with my neighbor, Mrs. Martinez. She's the only person I trust. Please, Victoria said, let me see her. I looked at her carefully. All right, but on my terms. No lawyers, no manipulation, no treating me like charity. She nodded, not realizing she had just stepped into a plan I'd been perfecting for 2 years. That plan began the moment I realized Michael had died, never knowing he was a father. While working long shifts, I documented everything, every email, every call I made to the Whitmore company, every time I was escorted out by security. With help from David Chun, a young attorney who handled civil rights cases, I built something stronger than revenge, a case. We had proof that Victoria had ordered private investigators to dig into my life, proof that she used company resources to blacklist me, proof that she interfered in her son's personal life based on prejudice. When her family lawyer called me to discuss the child's situation, I smiled. The timing was perfect. Saturday morning came. Victoria met me at a park near the hospital. Emma ran into her arms shouting, "Grandma!" Her joy so pure that for a moment, even Victoria forgot the past. For an hour they played. Laughter replaced tension, and then her phone rang. It was her lawyer, James Mitchell. "Victoria," he said urgently, "we have a problem. Kesha Johnson just filed a lawsuit, and it's devastating." Victoria turned pale. "Systematic racial discrimination, unlawful interference, invasion of privacy, emotional neglect resulting in death," Mitchell continued. "She has evidence, internal emails, security logs, investigator reports. It's airtight." Victoria hung up and approached me, her voice trembling. "You sued me?" I looked her in the eyes. "I told you. Everything would be on my terms." She whispered, "Have you been planning this since the cemetery?" "No," I said softly. "Since the day your guards kicked me out of his company. 7 months pregnant." Her voice shook. "What do you want? Money? A settlement?" I held Emma in my arms. "I don't want your money. I want justice. I want the truth." That's when she noticed the cameras. Reporters had gathered nearby, snapping photos. "You called the press?" she whispered. "I didn't need to," I said. "When a powerful woman uses corporate resources to persecute a pregnant nurse, it becomes news." A journalist approached. "Mrs. Whitmore, is it true you prevented your son from meeting his pregnant girlfriend? That you had her investigated?" Victoria's face turned white as flashes went off around her. "Protecting my son," she muttered. "Protecting him from what?" I asked. "From love? From happiness?" At that moment, a familiar face appeared. Tyler Mason, Michael's old friend. He carried a folder full of documents. "Victoria," he said, "I worked for your company. I saw everything. Michael told me about Kesha. He told me you threatened to fire him if he didn't leave her." "That's not true," she gasped. Tyler handed her an email, the last one Michael ever sent. It read, "Tomorrow I'm going to see Kesha. I'll beg for forgiveness. I don't care what my mother thinks. I'm going to be a father." Victoria's knees weakened. He knew?" "Yes," I said quietly. "He found out from the investigator you hired. He was driving back from that meeting when the accident happened." The crowd went silent. Reporters lowered their microphones. Victoria whispered, "Why are you doing this?" "Because Emma deserves to grow up knowing her worth," I said. "Because women like me deserve to be heard. And because Michael deserved better than to be remembered through your lies." Her phone rang again. Her cousin, the company's vice president, was shouting on the other end. "Victoria, the board is in chaos. The stock is crashing. You have to fix this now." But there was nothing left to fix. As she walked away, chased by cameras, I held my daughter close, the living proof of the love they tried to erase. 6 months later, the city still talked about the scandal. Whitmore Industries lost most of its contracts. Victoria resigned in disgrace. I, on the other hand, used the settlement money to create the Michael Whitmore Family Support Center, helping single mothers like me finish school and find work. Emma grew stronger every day, her laughter filling our small apartment. And one afternoon, as she played in the park, I saw a familiar figure approaching. Victoria, older now, holding a bouquet of daisies. She stopped in front of me, tears in her eyes. "I came to ask for forgiveness," she said quietly. "Not a second chance. Just forgiveness." I looked at her, the woman who once shouted me out of a cemetery. "Forgiveness isn't something you ask for," I said. "It's something you earn through change." She nodded, her voice trembling. "You won, Kesha." In every way possible, I smiled softly. I didn't win anything. I just built a world where my daughter never has to prove her worth. As she walked away, I looked at Emma. Free, fearless, loved. I realized then that true justice isn't revenge. It's rebuilding what they tried to destroy, stronger than ever. If this story touched your heart, remember, sometimes the people who try to bury you are just planting the seeds of your rebirth. Subscribe for more stories that prove justice doesn't come from hatred, but from strength.